YouTube. And I'm going to put this link in the live in the chat because I want y'all to join me. Let's see here. Give me one moment. TikTok. Let me see what we got. There we go. All right, put that comment in the chat. Now, all right, so we got one there, one down. Let me see what we got over here. I had to reconnect on YouTube. Yes, I got to get my YouTube people in here, even though YouTube gives me all kind of issues. But I'm gonna make sure they get in here because they important to me just like you are, TikTok. All right, so we're gonna get started. Give me one moment. Let me just get my TikTok people up here. I mean my YouTube people in here, and then we're ready to rock and roll. And I'm going to restate what I've said about the 508 so that those of you all who have churches or any kind of nonprofit organizations, you can hear and understand the difference between the two. It is up to you, but I'm making sure it is clear which is which when we're talking about these organizations and why you might prefer one over the other and the benefits of both. All right. So let me see. We're up. Yeah, we up. All right. Let's go. Let's go. All right, Queen Pisces. Welcome, 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 and welcome. I'm yours truly, Diva Reed, once again coming to you for the UNA University and UNARepublic. And today, I'm talking about a legal issue or a legal question that has been asked that I came across. And also we're going into some spiritual information. So I put the link in the bio for those of y'all who might want to join and have a conversation with me because we're going into that spiritual side. And I really want to have this conversation for those who might have questions about who we are as spiritual entities and other things. Because last time I was on, we talked about the Bible and what it was, and we went into some Anunnaki information. So today I just want to make sure we have the opportunity to have a conversation. And I got time today. So let me get back into this. The difference today, I want to go into the difference between the 508 organization and the 501c3. Now, you'll hear a lot of churches have incorporated up under the 501c3. And I came across this article and somebody was asking this question, all of these questions about what if I could just do a 508, why don't I just do a 508 instead of going through all this headache with the 501c3? And okay. And then she asked some questions about is a donation given to a 508 organization tax exempt? So let's understand the difference between these two. When we're talking about a 501c3, this is an organization that has incorporated under the U.S. corporation. Now, those of y'all who know, you have heard me say time and time again that the U.S. corporation is a British-owned organization. It is not of this land. It's a foreign entity. And so all of these organizations, LLCs, even we're talking about sole proprietorships and things like that, they're all incorporated up under the U.S. corporation umbrella. All right. But what has not been told to us is that we don't have to incorporate up under the U.S. corporation. So by federal rule, we have the right to create our corporations outside of the jurisdiction of the U.S. corporation. And when we do that, those of us who know, we're doing this under a 508 organization, whereby we are not beholden to pay taxes to this foreign U.S. corporation. All right. So, in understanding that, again, the U.S. corporation is not a sovereign entity. So you had somebody in this particular article that I was reading saying, oh, well, the U.S. corporation could take away your tax exempt status. No, they can't. So let's understand with a 501c3, this U.S. corporation is they're granting you a tax exempt status. Whereas with the 508, you are declaring your 508, your tax exempt status, rather. You're declaring your tax exempt status. It's not you asking, like, can I have the tax exempt status, please? No. And then this U.S. corporation does not have the jurisdiction to take away your tax exempt status. And there was another question asked about whether or not a 508 organization has to be set up like a church and operate like a church and do these things like a church. No, it doesn't. All right, because once again, as I told you, there's the U.S. corporation over here, which is a private organization owned by Britain. Then you've got the United States of America, which is of the Republic. So when you are operating under your 508 organization, you are declaring that you are sovereign. And another entity, a non-sovereign entity, cannot take away your sovereign status, all right, unless you're incorporated up under them. And if you're incorporated up under them, then you were never sovereign in the first place. All right, so let's be clear on that. If I have any questions, I do want to answer any. All right, so now let me see what I have here. See if I have anybody asking any questions. Thank you, Layman says facts. Thank you for the love. User says I got it. All right. Hammett said, as a matter of fact, let me just give a shout out to everybody. Sado and User, Clive, Royal, thank you for joining. KTH, Japech, for your comments and the information and you getting it. Please and follow and subscribe because I'm going to finish up on this topic and I think for whatever reason, we're jamming up. Am I clear for you guys on TikTok? Let me know, please, if you're hearing me clearly and if everything's coming through smoothly. Let me know. All right, because I'm having some technical difficulties. Let me see. Let me see what we got here. All right. Having a few little issues over there on that side, but we good over here. Let's go. Now, the other thing that I wanted to do, side and not on the other. Where is my Zoom? Well, I tell you what, we gonna get it together. Let me see if I gotta redo this. I tell you what. I tell you what. We're trying to. I gotta reconnect all over again. I gotta reconnect all over again. Let me tell you something. I will not be stopped today. I took out time. I said I'm making sure I got time today. All right, I'm going to put this new Zoom link up here. And let me see if I'm still streaming. I don't even know if I'm still streaming. Boy, okay. Can y'all hear me now? I think I stopped a lot of I was able to stop a lot of things going on this end. So let me know if you all can hear me okay. And I apologize about the delay. Um, right, let's see. Forgive the delay. This is kind of annoying, to say the least. Let me see. Where is my Zoom? Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. All right, here we go. There we don't go. I don't know what's going on. All right. Y'all might not, I might not be able to get the conversation going today because Zoom is doing everything it can to make sure I don't be great. Let's see. Try this one more time and then I'm out. Let's see. All right, when you got internet connection problem. Okay, so thank y'all for holding and thank you all for your patience. And we're gonna start moving. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. I'm not going through that again. What I am gonna do for my people on TikTok, thank you for joining. Thank you for being able to sit through this and maybe I'm not supposed to do this today. Maybe I'm not supposed to do this today. Are these signs, universe, that you sending me that I'm not supposed to do this session today? Is that what you're showing me? Because if that's the case, then I will just stop right now. Because at this point, I'm like, forget it. I'm like, just forget it. All right. All right. So how did everything I'm gonna tell you something right now. I'm like the spirits. Are you telling me you don't want me to do this session? I think the spirits are like, no, don't do this session today, Diva, because this gonna be too deep. And then I'm not able to get connected. Okay. I'm about to say, okay, universe, I will just back off. Give me a second. Let me see if I can get this up. I'm about to say, okay, I'm done. Over here on YouTube, and I'm ready to get to it. I'm not going back through that again. If they didn't get it the first time, then fine. All right. I think I'll back up. Let me see. Am I still streaming? All right. I'm rolling. Now, let me get into this thing. Now, those of y'all who want the trust membership package, all right, remember it comes with the trust package. It comes with the membership badge and the allodial ID. Also comes with an education, and we're going to put them on record for you. Now, I want to go into this thing, and I think I'm finished with the 508 and 501. If you don't have an understanding of what it is, I do go through those on our YouTube. You can find us on YouTube and at UNARepublic. Okay, if you're wanting that membership package, you can find the link in the bio and get it. Forgive me because all kind of stuff been happening. Camera fell down, internet going out, the video stopping, and all kind of stuff. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to move forward. Now, this is what I want to go into. I was watching a session. I told you all about this last time I was on. This young guy, and he was talking about whether or not people felt that he should go to hell because he chose not to believe in God. All right. Now, what I took from it is that he was an atheist and that he did because he didn't believe that there was a God, but I wasn't sure, if he was agnostic or atheist. Now, the difference is that maybe he feels that there's some kind of spirit or what have you, but just not a God. Okay, that's fine. And he was asking these people, and he would get these Christians coming on. And the Christians, of course, they don't know, all they know is what they have been taught. They don't really have a true understanding of the spiritual side. You could tell by the things they were saying because he was stopping them with his every comment and question. They couldn't answer it, but then we know that. So part of what I saw when I was watching this session with him is that I wasn't sure if he really wanted answers or if he really was just trying to be, how do you say it, uh, going after the Christians and just aggravating them or antagonizing them because they really don't know what they're talking about. All right. So I wanted to get on this because of the simple fact that, um, when what we want to deal with today is the spiritual side. There were so many things that were said that it was clear that there wasn't a true understanding of what's going on the spiritual side. Good grief. All right. There wasn't a true understanding of what's going on the spiritual side. So I kind of want to get into that today. And really, that's why I said, let's have a conversation and get some people to come in on the chat. I want to welcome everybody. Dreadful, welcome, Queen Pisces. Thank y'all for your patience. I really want to get into this thing. And if you all want to join me on the TikTok or the Facebook, I put the link. We put the link in the comment section so y'all can get it. Okay, so now let's go into this thing. One of the things that I wanted to get into, and I'm going to bring these things up, and if anybody has any comments, I'd love to hear them, but I want to make sure we understand who we are as spiritual entities and the things that we haven't been taught. Now, one of the things that I speak on regularly is that we are ethereal beings and we were here before. If you're getting energies, it's because a lot of, especially when you're talking about as a child, we put out energies in a different dimension or different lifetime. So what we've been told, you're just thinking, oh, I'm just here in this body. I just got here. I don't know what's going on. I didn't ask to be here. But you were in existence before this vessel. This is just a blip on your chart as far as your lifetime or the experience of your spiritual essence. So this is just a blip. This vessel, this 70, 80, 90 years, 100 years, this is just a blip. You've been around for way longer than this. And so we get here because of the energies or the contracts we make spiritually before we come into this dimension. So a lot of us aren't understanding that. And I bring that up because one of the questions he was asking is, well, if a baby, aborted baby, or aborted fetus, do they get to go to heaven? And of course your Christian is, yeah, they get to go to heaven. Everybody goes to heaven. Let's understand what heaven is. All right. This is your heaven or your hell, depending on the energies that you put out. this right here. Because when you were here before, you contracted to be in this dimension. And when you come back here, there are lessons that you have to learn in this dimension. There are lessons that you have to learn. So depending on the energies that you put out at a different time, that's going to determine your heaven or hell. That's going to determine your heaven or hell. And let's understand this, that every being, even that aborted fetus, when it's coming back up in here, there's an energy. Or when it's even being created, there's an energy. So people have this idea or this notion that you're not creating because you don't have a vessel. There's plenty of beings all in your dimension right here, your room, that are creating without a vessel. Why do we talk to our ancestors? What is God? We're talking to spiritual entities. They are moving without a vessel. And you got to understand, you too were a spiritual entity. You still are. But now you got a vessel. And you got to understand that what you're experiencing in this dimension has to do with the energies that you put out at another time. I need to go back to this because one of the things they kept saying about the Bible, oh, you know, the Bible says we all born to sin. Okay, well, what is it talking about? It's basically talking about if you're in this dimension, well, you put out some energies to bring you here. And there are things, if you here in this third dimension, that you have to learn. Those are the sins. When everybody's talking about, oh, our ancestors, they made us have 400 years of slave. What you think that is? You are your ancestors. That's what people are not telling you. You did that dirt back then that caused you to have to be sitting into whatever your hell is at this time. But one of the things I'm here to say is you can make it your heaven right here, right now. Everybody think you got to die and go to heaven. What? I don't know where it said that in the Bible. You can make this your heaven by making sure that you are in control and cognizant of the energies you're putting out right now. That's what's not being told. You don't have to die to get to your heaven. What you want to do is start learning who you are. Start recognizing the energies that you're putting out and how they're affecting those around you. This will be your heaven. And if it is your hell, it is because you made it that. Now, I need to go into this because, I get this question so often when I get on this topic where people start asking me, well, what about the child that's molested? And what about and this is a deep topic. So I need y'all to pay attention. I know I got a lot of people out there who've been through whatever they've been through. A lot of us have been through it. And as I've seen, when I look at the statistics, all right, they're telling us one out of four women have had some kind of inappropriate sexual contact with an adult before the age of 18. And then they're telling us one out of five men have had some kind of inappropriate sexual contact with an adult before the age of 18. I'm saying it's way higher than that. In my research, it's showing that for every one case of child molestation that is reported, 5 to 6 go unreported. We're looking at an epidemic that nobody is talking about. And what happens is you're really almost darn near 50% or more of the population is walking around having had some kind of inappropriate sexual contact with an adult before the age of 18 and hence has sexual issues. And nobody's talking about it. But they expect you to go out and have a relationship that's healthy and good and thriving when you out here with sexual issues and you have never dealt with it because nobody's talking about it. Okay, well, I'm going to talk about it. And I'm going to talk about it in such a way where some people who think they're victims, they're going to be upset with me. I want you to know I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. But this needs to be talked about because once we come out of this victimhood state, we can stop living in the hell. and create our heaven. All right. So pay attention. Once you come out of your victimhood state, we can stop living in hell and start living in heaven. So let's understand something, going back to us coming in here as spiritual entities. All right. Again, you'll hear people say, well, you better do right before you die, or you're gonna go to hell. So let's understand, let's look at some cases where there are people who have done dirt and they took it to their grave. We're talking about somebody who's molested children or done other kind of acts, and maybe they felt they wouldn't get caught. But let me make this clear. Let me help you understand something 100%. The universe sees all and knows all. The universe sees all and knows all. If you do some dirt, it will find you. The universe will find you. That energy is not going to go without coming back to you. All right. So let's say this person who's done this molesting of children and they've gotten away with it, so they thought, and then they die. And they don't go to jail. Nobody even knows. Well, they think nobody knows. But when they come back in here, please understand, you coming back in here. Especially if you put that kind of energy out, oh, you coming back. And you got to face the energies that you put out before you left. You have to face that. You have to receive that. It don't just go away. So I need y'all to understand something. When that person dies and they come back, do you think they just jump up here and they are human? Ta-da! I'm back. No, that's not how it works. Thank you for the love, ate the grape. Thank you for the love. No, it doesn't happen like that, where they just jump up and they back and they're human, they're a full adult. No, they're going to come back as a child. They're going to come back as a child. And that child has to experience the energies that were put out by the spirit that's inhabiting that vessel. See, when y'all look at a child, y'all just see, oh, it's an innocent, a little bit. No, it's not. That's an ancestor coming back in here. That's an ancestor coming back in here. In a child's body. Y'all don't get that? Y'all just thinking, oh, it's just innocent. Why is the Bible talking about everybody born in sin? That being that's coming back in here has been here before and is back to learn a lesson. Now, in the case of somebody who left here molesting, well, what better way to return that energy to that being than to put it with a mother that's going to allow it to experience the energies that it put out on other children before it left here. Y'all not getting what I'm saying. I'm letting you know that the way the universe works, we want to tell the universe how to do her job. The universe just works off balance. She is going to return the energies that you put out. And don't just think that just because somebody dies and they leave here and they don't get whatever punishment you think they should deserve, please understand the universe always returns the energy. That's why I tell people when they're coming to me talking about, oh, well, I'm a victim of this, I'm a victim of that. I already know who they are. I know the universe does not miss when she's sending out an energy. And it's the same thing when you're looking at a child that's coming into that. There is an energy that must be repaid. There's an energy that must be repaid. And until it's repaid, then that child is not going to have the peace that you want it to have. I don't care how much you think you're going to protect it. Let's understand what happens now. And I'm not telling you not to help the child or what have you, but let's understand what happens. You take a child that comes in here and it's got that energy on it, whereby the parents are molesting or doing whatever, mistreating or mishandling the child. And then you got Child Protective Services comes in and takes that child and puts it in another home. And then what happens to that child in another home? Well, they get molested. And take it out of that home and put it in another home. And then what happens to that child? Well, they get molested. there's an energy to be repaid. And I understand this is hard. Nobody's talking about this because who wants to be the villain telling people this truth? Because it's hard to hear. It's hard to understand that this child is an ancestor coming back in here. And until these energies are cleaned up and cleared up, that child gonna keep experiencing it until it's repaid the universe what the universe feels it needs to repay. Okay, so let me go further, because then the deal is with that child, it's difficult to help it understand how to come out of that energy. It's difficult to help that child understand how to come out of that energy. When we're talking about, somebody who gets of age and they can hear and they can understand, and you can explain things to them, well, then we start learning how to walk in a manner where we create the heaven. And a lot of times we're not understanding the words that are coming out of our mouth. We're not understanding the energies that we're putting out. We're not understanding the effect that our beliefs have on our third dimension. Well, when you're not recognizing that, and when you're constantly putting out energies that go against what you desire to see in your third dimension, then you keep getting things that you don't want. I know I've said some things to upset people. Druckman says, notebook and pencil. Druckman says, notebook and pencil in hand, class in session. That's right. All right. So I just wanted to give you that. Let's say, I choose to make my heaven here and now. Thank you, Eighth the Great. I choose to make my heaven here and now. That starts with your energies. Now, when I have my students in class, we have visual aids. I can't do as much with TikTok and YouTube as I'd like to, but I'm going to talk to you about what we're walking in now. The fifth, sixth, and seventh dimension is what I talk to my students about. And that fifth dimension deals with your actions. What are you doing? What are you saying to help you get to the heaven that you desire? So, again, if I haven't explained it well to you all and helped you understand, let me see. Queen Pisces says, do you bring, let me see, Diva Marie, bring the heat? Tonight you share the table, they ain't ready. All right, y'all better get ready. Y'all better get ready. So if I haven't explained this clear enough to help you understand who we are as spiritual entities, and how if there's an energy coming at you, then you can, it first of all, you need to recognize where it's coming from, because it's not just like by happenstance. It's not just because I was a good person, I don't know how this happened. No, we got to understand where these energies come from. And if as a child you were experiencing all this hell, you can change that. You can change that. You can wipe that out. You can get to this level now where you live your heaven, you make it what you want to be. But it all starts right here with your mind. Let me see if I got somebody who wants to talk to me via Zoom. If I can get in here and see uh, what we got. Where is it? Okay. I'm still learning how to work my apparatuses. All right. So now, if you're interested, once again, the link is in the, let's see. Yes, I'm putting a link up. So if you want to come in and join me on this. So I want to get into this. One of the things that one of the guys said in the session that I was telling you about. Now, there was a guy, he was asking these Christians all of these questions. And again, they can't answer that whole thing about, their whole thing is, oh, everybody goes to heaven. And I'm going to say this to you. I talked about my whole atheist journey and what happened when I was walking in this atheist group. I'll recap that for those of y'all who didn't see that video. But at some point, I was doing a lot of studying. I still do a lot of studying. And I was gaining all of this knowledge and information. And it was like, this God, It can't exist. I'm like, what is this God that we have been told about? And so then I went through this atheist phase because I'm like, this God can't exist. That, where I'm seeing all of these children in Africa that are starving, and I'm seeing all this war and all of this mess, and I'm like, what God would allow this to keep happening? Okay, so as I'm going on this atheist journey, I'm dealing with this group. I was in this group I told you called ARC. Stood for Anti-Religious Chat Room, of all things, ARC. And so as I'm in there, there's your different groups of people. There's your really highly educated people who are looking for information, and they're just searching everything they can, and they're throwing this information into the group, and I'm eating it up. I'm like, oh, they're talking about everything from law to UFOs to foreign policies, everything. And they really were seeking knowledge. Then you had this other group of people who were just the most hateful and dark, angry, and sad people in this on this other spectrum of this group, and they were not searching for answers. And one of the things that I would see that they would do all the time is they would go into other groups and they'd find Christians, and as soon as they find a Christian that'll argue with them, then they come back and they're gonna tell all the rest of the atheist people, hey, come over here, I'm ready to beat this Christian down, come on, let's do this. And so then all the other atheists come in there, and then they start hitting them with these questions, and beating them down and telling them they crazy with Christianity and all this other things that they would do. It's kind of like hyena practice. So they would take their arguments from one group and they just do the same thing. Whenever they see a Christian, it was just an attack session. All right. So what I just noticed there is that these were people who, yeah, they found out there was a lie, but they weren't really searching for the truth. They just wanted to be upset and angry about the lie that they found. Now, I said I would get on, the Christians and what I found with the Christians. What I find is that these are a group of people who have been indoctrinated. They don't really have an understanding of where this information comes from. I told you all about the Bible. We talked about where it came from. The fact that the scriptures were around long before the Bible was ever written. We talked about the fact that these were women who wrote these scriptures. Sibyls and oracles. Look it up just in case you don't know, and how these women were written out of their scriptures. As we spoke about how we can tell that the Bible, they want to call it God's perfect word. How can it be God's perfect word? First of all, when it's telling you they're left out books. How you tell me something is incomplete and perfect? That don't go together. First of all, there's left out books. That's telling you, okay, wait a minute, this thing is not complete. It can't be perfect. Okay, here's the other thing. Copyrighted. If you're talking about God's word, you cannot copyright God's word. God's word is for everybody. And so if you're looking in a Bible, find that little C with the circle around it. That's telling you it's copyrighted. If you want to find a less tampered with version of the Bible, go and look up the book of Jasher. Jasher. That's really a good book, and that's going to give you even more insight into what was happening, especially when you start talking about Sodom and Gomorrah and some of these other stories. It's going to give you more insight than the Bible will, and then it's less tampered with. Then you're going to see how the stories in the Bible were changed. All right. So getting back to this, when we talk about the Christians, one of the things that I have noticed is, again, they're indoctrinated. They're just giving you their story, and then they're not taking time to do any research on what they're saying. Now, a lot of people will read the Bible and they say, oh, well, this God is contradicting. The Bible contradicts itself. Well, one of the issues about what's going on with the Bible, and even with the book of Jasher, in the book of Jasher, you'll see that there were different gods and they had names. You'll see that. But in the Bible, what has happened is there were many gods. And you have people, there's only one God. There's only one God. Okay, well then what does Elohim mean, somebody? If you even just look it up, Elohim means many gods. Elohim means many gods. And so in understanding what that term means, you want to recognize there was more than one. Let us make man in our image. Us. Who's us? That's many. It was more than one of them. Well, what happened is somebody came along and took all of the names of the different gods in the Bible out and replaced them with Lord and God. All right. And let's understand that the vast majority of those gods were feminine. Feminine. And going back to some of these left out books, look up the book of Solomon. Why they leave that out? Why they leave the book of Solomon out? And when you read the book of Solomon or Solomon's story, Solomon is telling you that the Israelites were led out of Egypt by a woman, a female god. He called her wisdom. This is not Diva LaRue making this up. Why they leave that book out? And then in the Bible, they telling you that a man named Moses led the Egyptians out of Egypt. Solomon was supposedly there. For those of y'all who don't know, Solomon was the king of the Israelites before they were taken, and you got the 10 lost tribes. So I hope y'all are following me on this. I'm just talking about the Bible because yeah, it's the the number one selling book worldwide many times over, and less than 2% of the population have actually read it, and not even all of those 2% fully understand what it's talking about. Yeah, look up the book of Enoch. Read all those left out books, because this is when you start to get an understanding of what's really going on in the book. But the Christians don't do that. They just have a belief. Where we are beyond belief, we need to start knowing. Let me see if I have anybody. Thank you, Drug for said, Diva, you like Morpheus. Morpheus, walk us into the matrix. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let me see if I got anybody. Who does anybody wants to come talk to me? I want to have this conversation. If anybody has any questions, because and sometimes we'll get Christian. I would love to have a Christian on, talk to a Christian about this, because again, we have these ideas, or Christians have these ideas that we haven't been taught about who we are with respect to our spiritual being. We need to know. We need to know these things. Again, go back and read some of the left out books and understand. So when we're talking about the Bible, just carrying on with the Bible, you're looking at the Bible. Do Christians or anybody know that these books, first of all, the Old Testament was written in Hebrew, and then the New Testament is written in Greek? Why are these two books so polar to each other? All right. Now, I had to come into understanding about this Bible, and I need to say this about the Bible. You get a lot of people, I hear a lot of people say, I don't need no book to tell me. I know how to lead my life, and I don't need no. Okay, I get it. Nobody's telling you to be religious or believe in anything. What I am saying is this book, this Bible, is a book that the whole society is based off of and run off of. This book has a lot of power. Even though it is not the perfect word of God, it's got a lot of power. So let's understand this now. When you went into court and they used to tell you, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth. They want you to place your hand on what? A Bible. And then they want you to raise your right hand to who? God. These people are, first of all, telling you that they believe there's a God. I'm not even talking about what you believe. I'm talking about these people who are running this thing. These people can take away your freedom based on this book. You don't understand how powerful this Bible is. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God? They're saying they believe there's a God, and they're saying that this God has a set of laws that when not only do you abide by, so do they. They're saying that there's a God with laws. Did you even read this book? If you haven't read the book, you don't understand that that same book can uplift you and get you out of whatever kind of mess you think you in. Because there's these are laws that they stand on. So I'm saying, read the book. Not only that, I'm gonna tell you, when I told you I went through my atheist phase, if you had told me about reading the Bible, I probably would have cussed you out. I'm like, read the Bible? I thought we was intelligent adults. I thought we was intelligent adults. You want me to read a Bible, the fictitious white man's book? What? That was wrong. I was listening to idiots who had no clue. They had never read the book. They only went on what somebody else told them. But in all of my research, what I kept finding, I didn't care what I studied. It could have been monetary policy, it could have been financing, it could have been history, uh, molecular structure, anything that I read, it kept leading me back to the Bible. It kept leading me back to the Bible. And I was like, I'm not gonna read this book. I'm not reading this book. I don't care what. I'm not. So I'm listening to other people. I'm listening to Albion's talk about the book, and what was his name? And he was I really listened a lot to him. I can't even think of his name. But he passed. But it's Albion. He was talking about the Bible, and he was giving all this information about what the Bible is and this and that. But he never said, not one nary time, that the people in this book that they were writing about were melanated. Why wouldn't you tell me that? I didn't know that until my cousin, who calls herself a Hebrew Israelite. I don't know if she's with the group, but she called herself a Hebrew Israelite, and she had to reintroduce me to the book. And she was like, and why wouldn't this man, Jordan Maxwell, that's who he is, why wouldn't Jordan Maxwell say that these were melanated people? He didn't say that. And I heard so many of his lectures on the Bible. Not one time did he say this book deals with melanated people. Not one time. Why? Here's the thing. Until I sat down and read it, and it got to a point when my cousin reintroduced me to the Bible, it was like, okay, I need to read this book. Now I had another friend in the atheist group. This was a guy who had Albion guy. He had to learn the Bible all the way through because something happened where his wife and his son had fallen into some kind of cult, and they were caught up in it, and the FBI sanctioned him, or contracted him to come on and be an agent for the FBI and go into this organization. Of course, he had to read the Bible. So I'm listening to this guy. He telling me about the Bible, and I'm like, okay, good. But really, again, why nobody ever said who these people were in this Bible, in this book? Who were the true Jews? Nobody ever said that. Why would that be still a hidden secret, where these people who are constantly talking about the Bible not telling you who the real people of the Bible are? Okay. All right. So just getting on it and understanding, now I had to start reading this book. And as I started to read this book, I had to learn to temper my disdain for this book. Why? Because I started to recognize whoever wrote these scriptures, they were trying to warn us. Pay attention. Pay attention. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm saying to you, somebody wrote those scriptures and they were trying to warn us about what is coming. Well, why would I say that? Because in these scriptures, they're telling us, okay, well, don't wear these kind of clothes, and don't eat this, and don't eat that, and don't do this, and don't. Okay, no tattoos. Now, come to find out, tattoos, that ink in there they're putting in there, that's poisonous to your skin. Your skin is an organ, the biggest organ on your body, and you drawing on it with colorable crayons and whatnot and inks that are poisonous. All right. I don't know if y'all have ever seen the tattoo process, but you should check it out and see how they putting these inks in your skin. Yeah, never mind. If you got tattoos, I'm not talking to you. Carry on. But for those of y'all who know putting that stuff on your skin is poisonous, okay. Thank you for recognizing it. But the Bible is telling you not to put that stuff in your skin. Oh, the Bible is saying grow your own foods. Well, are we at the point now where you can't go in the grocery store and 90% of what's in the grocery store is poisonous to you? They adding agents in it and what's these aborted fetus particles in your drinks, in your food, in the pancake mix and everything. It's in there. Just read the box. They call it bio generate my meat. I like my pork. I don't care if it's broiled, if it's baked or boiled. I'm eating my meat. I used to eat meat. I was on that Atkins diet for a minute. All right. But what I started to find out is when I ate that stuff, it would jack my blood pressure up dramatically. So I'm checking my blood pressure. Why was I concerned about my blood pressure? Well, because my mother had high blood pressure. And I remember when she told me, she came back from the doctor, she said she had gone to the doctor because her legs kept blowing up, expanding. And I said, well, what happened? What they say? Well, they said I have high blood pressure and I got to take these blood pressure pills. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, how long you got to take those? She was like, for the rest of my life. I was like, oh yeah, no, that won't be me. We're not doing that. We ready to figure out what the problem is, what's going on. And I know it has to do with what I'm eating because I'm not going to be taking nobody's medication for the rest of my life. That's not happening. Okay. So then I started really checking my blood pressure regularly. And what I found is when I wasn't eating pork and shrimp and all of that, my blood pressure was regular. But then I go and eat some at one of my favorite places to eat was Waffle House. And they had these country ham and waffle and all this other stuff that I would get. But I'm getting my country ham. And I'd eat that country ham. And I went and checked my blood pressure and it was spiked up high like I needed to get to the hospital right away. What I had to do was I went back to the Bible and I had to read that. Don't eat pork. Don't eat shrimp. They are unclean. And then I had to ask the question, how did it know? How did it know? These are the things that cause harm. And I used to have shrimp too. I do that with shrimp. Yeah, it was jacking my blood pressure up. And so what I'm saying is then I had to recognize, okay, these laws in here, somebody knew. When they're talking about one of the biggest things the Israelites used to do in this Bible that upset God was borrowing money. Borrowing money was a big issue. And one of the things that they called it usury. Usury. Look that up. Usury. Borrowing money with interest. Why? Because you become a slave to the people who you're borrowing from. And this is one of the reasons why when it comes to Muslims, those with the United States, they keep fighting with the Muslims. Why? Because the Muslims won't borrow money from them. Well, if you're not borrowing money from them, then they can't enslave you. And one of the biggest things that got the Israelites in trouble is the usury. They kept participating in that. And they got hit with that in the Bible. One of the other things that really had to open my eyes, the Bible talks about not wearing mixed fabrics. And I was, for me, I was like, mixed fabrics? I want to wear my fabrics. I can wear my fabric. Then I went and did research on fabrics because what happened was y'all look up this document is called the Secret Covenant. And I was looking up I was looking up, I don't know what, I was just doing a lot of research and studying. Came across this document called the Secret Covenant. This is a document or a covenant whereby those who are playing this game at the highest level are talking about how they're going to keep the masses enslaved. They're going to keep them enslaved by doing certain things like poisoning their feelings. So when we were as children getting those metal fillings in our mouth, they put poisons in those. They fully, that's why you hear people saying get your feelings taken out now. Well, that was their purpose. We're gonna put fillings in their mouth. We're gonna keep giving them medications. We're gonna make them think that the medications is helping them when it's really not. It's just medicating them and hiding the symptoms. We're gonna do all these other things. We're gonna poison their food. We're gonna poison their drink, their water. We're gonna poison their education system, and we're gonna poison their clothes. Well, wait a minute. It was like a record scratching when I heard that you're gonna poison their clothes. Well, then I had to go back to the Bible and remember that it was saying to watch what you're wearing. Don't wear these types of fabrics. And so then I had to go and look up, do some research on poisonous clothes. And the first thing I found was polyester. And y'all look this up. Polyester is poisonous 100% of the time. You can't wash the poison out of polyester. And we're wearing this on our skin. And it's very difficult to remove all of that stuff out of your wardrobe. But that's one of the things where I'm saying to you, in this Bible, somebody was trying to warn us. They were trying to let us know, hey, if you do these things, you're going to stay out of the grasp of those who are running this game. You're going to be able to avoid all of the things that they're trying to do to bring you down. If you do these things. And so again, I get it when somebody, oh, I don't need no book to tell me. Okay, I get it. But what I am saying to you is somebody is leaving clues in this book. And the problem is we're not reading it. Everybody might own a Bible. Everybody want to tell me how they went to church when they was a child. Yeah, but you still don't know what's in that book. And you still don't know the truth about spirituality. And so when I'm talking to, my atheists and they're angry or what have you, listen, you can't win if you're angry. You're going to keep getting the beat down if you're angry. You're just angry about what the lie is that was told to you. I understand. And then when we dealing with our Christians, and one of the things I found about Christians is as much as they tend to be on the blind side and indoctrinated, they really had an easier spirit to deal with. They weren't dark. So let me talk about what I found with atheists. And let me tell you my experience, my own experience. The reason why, as I said, I fell into that whole atheist thing is because I found that this God of this Bible, at least the New Testament, where God loves everybody and everybody is wonderful and it didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense to me. And so I went into my whole phase where it's okay, that's it. That's it. I'm stopped. I'm not doing this no more. And then I cut my spiritual side off, where I just stopped praying, and I would have these conversations with my spiritual essence that would constantly talk to me, our conscience. I stopped it. I was like, nope, we're not doing this. And I got to tell you, that was one of the darkest times of my life. It was scary. And I remember when I first did it, I felt like I had lost my best friend. When I went through that phase where I was just like, I'm cutting God off, I'm not talking to these spirits in my head, and I'm not doing this no more, and I'm not praying no more. That's it. That was the darkest time. And I would cry myself to sleep at night every night. I never felt alone before I went through that phase. I never felt alone. Even, again, I'm believing in this God, but I always felt that there was a connection. There was a connection. And when I cut that out, I felt alone. And I cried myself to sleep at night just because I let my best friend go. That was my spiritual connectivity. That's my best friend, my God, my universe, my best friend. And so it was dark, it was scary, it was the thought that uh, after you die, there's just nothing. I didn't know the stuff that I know now, but after you die, I'm in my head. There's just nothing, and just forget it. And all this is a lie. So I went through that angry phase. And that's what I see in a lot of atheists. But once I started searching for the truth, when I asked for the truth, this is when my cousin is reintroducing me to the Bible and she's telling me, look at this and this. This is when I had to read that book for myself. Now I understand what the Jews are and who the so-called Jews is, all in that book. It's hidden right there in your face. But guess what? I got a mother that was a preacher. I got a father that was a preacher. They both went to school, ministerial school. They didn't read that book. They had no clue. I'm telling them about certain things when it comes to uh the Jews, and it's like, oh well, yeah, the Jews, they the chosen ones. You talking about these Albions out here running this game? No, they're not. You didn't know that the people in the book were melanated? Didn't know it, but you a preacher. Okay. What has been taught to these preachers is what the system wants them to know. They don't read the book, they read other books telling them about the book. I'm going to say this again. In ministerial school, they don't read the book, they read other books telling them about the book. I'm going to say this because some people are still under this notion that the Bible was written by the Albion. All right. And I'm going to bring up two books that lets you know, if you just read them, if Albions wrote this book, then they are totally out of their mind and dumb. All right. First book, the book of Numbers. Read it. The book of Numbers. It says that white skin is a curse. And to my Albion people that might be listening, I want you to know I love you. I have no disdain for, and when I say Albions, I'm talking about light skinned people. All right. When I'm talking about my melanated folks, I'm saying melanated. Or my dark skinned people, melanated or carbonated people. So, Book of Numbers says that white skin is a curse. White skin, it says, is a curse. Now, if I was an Albion and I wrote this book, or this book came across my desk, we're gonna burn that. We're gonna burn it. We're gonna put it we're gonna go on and sprinkle that in the deepest ocean. That book is not gonna surface if I wrote this book as a melanated person, as an Albion rather than melanin. As an Albion, if I'm the one who wrote this book, that book is gonna disappear. All right. So you read it for yourself. Numbers. It says white skin is cursed. Why would I create a book or allow it to be the number one selling book that's saying I'm cursed? That ain't gonna happen. Next, the book of Revelation or Revelation. This book says that the Albions or light-skinned people are going to die in a lake of fire. That's what Revelation says. Now, if I wrote this book and this was a book that I'm publishing, no, we're gonna burn that, take the ashes, we're gonna sprinkle them in the deepest ocean. There's no way you're gonna find that chapter where it's talking about me burning in the lake of fire. That does not happen. So how you telling me this book was written by the Albion when it's got those two books in there? Next, let's talk about King James. Who is that? Who that? That's a melanated dude. King James? Yeah. So what I'm saying to you is all of this whole notion that people are telling you, you can't keep listening to ignorant people about this book. Yes, it is. It's not the perfect word of God. However, it is a powerful book. If you're wanting to get anything you are in, even when you're talking about um getting out of paying taxes, oh, that's in the Bible telling you how to do that. Getting out from under the system and learning how to walk as a sovereign, oh, that's in the Bible telling you how to do that. Nobody telling you to believe in a religion, because I don't even speak religion, but I sure do speak spirituality. And if you understand what's going on in that book, you're going to see a whole lot that's going on out here in this game that's not being told to us. Ah. Okay, so Queen Pisces says, Diva, if you don't mind sharing, what do you eat on a daily basis? I cut out carbs and sugar, but I still eat lots of wild caught salmon. Okay. Yeah. Now I'm gonna say this. This is a preface. I'm not suggesting you all eat like I eat. I don't share how I eat because I found that too many people be trying to copy off of me. I'm not asking you to do that. All right, but I'm just telling you what I eat and how I eat. I eat salads, lettuce, and there's only a few specific things that I can eat because my body is going to tell me what's not natural and is not going to react well to it at all. So salads, so lettuce, uh, no tomato. Tomatoes are the devil. That's what I mean. You want to be mucusy and all that tomatoes. I don't eat those, and potatoes either. But lettuce, uh, avocados, I eat that. Onions, olives. What else do I eat? Garlic. That all that stuff goes in my salad. And I eat what else? Peanuts. I eat a lot of peanuts. As a matter of fact, I eat so many peanuts. I'm going to start selling them. Uh, Stay tuned. And what else do I eat? And I drink water. That's it. I don't drink Kool-Aid, no sugar. Uh, that's it. And I eat. I will eat. So I'll go 4 days eating throughout the week and 3 days off. So Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays I'm fasting. And then I eat the other days, and I'll eat for a 6 hour period. I try to make it a 6 hour time frame. Sometimes it goes a little bit longer into 8, but once that time frame is up, I stop eating. So that's how I eat. Uh, as far as salmon and fish, listen, like I said, I don't tell you how to eat because I have too many people. Especially I go out with friends. And I will buy because I like that. We go out and eat. I'm buying. I'm buying. Well, what we gonna eat, Diva? Because you won't eat it. This ain't about me. If you want the whole pig butt, I will buy it. What you want? I'm not gonna eat it, but if you want to eat it, then that's fine. I'm not telling you how to eat. But what I am saying is, we're gonna learn discipline because there are things that we're not supposed to be eating. Pork, again, it's saying it in the Bible. Don't eat this stuff because it's unclean. If you don't believe it, understand you can test it for yourself. Buy you a $15 uh, blood pressure checker where you can put it on your arm and you can check it regularly. Check your own blood pressure. All right. And then you can see whether or not these foods are affecting you adversely because you are science. All right. Thank you, Queen Pisces. So again, I'm just telling you how I eat because I'm on my journey to being a breatharian where I don't need food. That's just me. I'm not telling you how to eat. I've been doing this for years. So it's not like you're just gonna jump up and all of a sudden stop eating. You gotta eat because your body is used to it. But this takes time. Over a period of time, then you learn how to discipline yourself and you don't need to eat as much. All right. Uh, Thank you, Roy. I appreciate the love. Let's see. Ronald says peanuts is brain food. All right. I love me some peanuts. How about fruits? Now, when it comes to fruits, thank you for that question. Uh, what I found with fruits is that there's only certain fruits that I can eat. And if I eat them, I have to eat them at a certain time. So let's understand what's going on with fruits. Fruits break down in your system quickly. And so once it breaks down, it needs to be able to leave your body. Otherwise, it's going to cause you to have gas. Okay. So this is why you'll hear people telling you you're going to eat fruits. You need to eat those first. So oranges and lemons and apples and things like that, you want to eat those before your meal, they're saying. And this is what I've had to do. And then wait for 15 to 20 minutes before you eat your food. Why? Because if you're eating your food and then you go and eat the fruits, well, then your food is sitting there, it's going through your digestive tracts. But that food, that heavy food is sitting there, and then on top of it is this fruit that's breaking down and it's generating gases and bacteria because it's stuck. It can't go nowhere because this food is down here. So if you don't take the time to eat that fruit first and let it digest, then you're gonna have gas. All right. And then the other thing I found with citrus fruits, and this is me, I find it makes me tired. It gives me pain. That's oranges. I used to love oranges, but I had to stop eating that. It wasn't good. And then anything hybrid, my body won't take it. So apples, it's difficult to find a non-hybrid apple. Is Watermelons are hybrid, and I love watermelons, cherries. I love them, but all that stuff, my body is gonna be like, nope, it's not coming in here. And so when you go back to the Bible, you're looking at what it's saying: eat fruits with seeds, uh, that are of the earth and not hybrid. If it's hybrid, my body is going to tell me that don't need to be in here. All right. So that's for me. Again, you got to check your vessel and see how your vessel responds to certain things. But my body ain't letting it in if it's not hybrid, if it's hybrid, or if it's not truly natural. So people think, oh, it come from the earth. It's natural. All Look, most of the things that are grown in the earth are not natural. All right. I told you about watermelons. Yeah, they come from the earth. They're hybrid. And I want to get into some things about these foods and what they do. Uh Broccoli. I love broccoli, but it's hybrid. And my body will tell me such. Don't put that back in here. I'm gonna put you in so much pain you won't be able to get out of bed. Cauliflower, love it, but I can't eat that stuff. And so and the reason why I don't tell people about how I eat or trying to encourage you to come on this journey is because it's not easy, and I don't want to hear your mouth. I don't want to hear you getting upset with me. Diva, I stay hungry. I be so hungry. I start Diva. Ooh, and I can't eat. I just want to have something to eat. I want some fruity pebbles, Diva. I want some. I can't have. Look, I'm not telling you how to eat. It's up to you to develop the discipline you need. For me, I'm serious about this. And once you start on this path, you don't just turn back because you will hurt yourself. You don't go from not eating these things to, okay, I'm gonna have to have me a steak tonight. I'm gonna have me some A1. Your body will lock up. That's what happened to me when I came back into the United States after being in Argentina for 7 years. And then I come back here and I'm thinking, I'm gonna give me some. I know y'all gonna be talking trash, but I was like, what was that? Golden Corral. Man, I went in the Golden Corral. I'm eating the vegetables and I'm loving it because I eat. Now, just because I don't eat meat don't mean I doesn't eat. I don't eat rather. I don't know why people think they look at me and they just like they think I don't eat. It's like, no, I eat like a fat girl. I do. I do. When I eat, I eat. But there's only certain things that I will eat. But I went to Golden Corral and I just ate all this food. Man, my body was terrible. I just said it like that. My body was like, I wish you might ever come back in the Golden Corral. Don't you ever. And so I never went back in the Golden Corral. But again, there's only so many things you can eat once you start on this path. You cannot just decide, okay, I'm going to just come off of it. You're going to hurt yourself. All right. Uh, do I have any other comments? Oh, I need to go into something real quick. Uh, I don't know how many women I got because most of my viewers are 75% male. Hey brothers, I love y'all. I gotta tell the sister something real quick. I don't talk a lot about this because I don't want y'all getting mad at me about periods. All right. As I've told people, I was on this quest because I was like, I want to know how to eliminate periods. And there is a way to do it, but it's not told. And I heard this woman, Jewel Pookrum, she was speaking on it, but she never did. She's like, "Yeah, women can stop your period." And I was like, "What? Really? What is it? How we do that? Where's that?" And so I went on this long quest to understand what it was. And so one of the things that I found, is the reason why you're having your period in the first place. So let's understand this. There's this hormone called LHS hormone that comes from your pituitary gland. All right. And so when this hormone starts secreting in your blood, your ovaries get a hold to that, or the ovums in your ovaries get a hold to it, and they start fighting for that LHS hormone. And the one that gets the most of this LHS hormone is the one that has to leave the ovaries. All right. And this happens once a month with this whole cycle thing. Now, what is it that causes this LHS to be secreted into your blood in the first place? Well, the number one thing is sugar. Sugar. And sugar is a drug that's more addictive than cocaine. Sugar is a drug that is more addictive than cocaine. And so when you're eating this sugar, it's causing this LHS hormone to secrete into your blood, and now the ovums in your ovaries, and then the one that gets the most of it matures, if you will, and it's got to leave. And once it's leaving, there's a rip in your ovaries. This is why you feel that pain every month in your stomach, or these cramps. Well, there's a rip going on, and then that ovary goes into the tube, and then it sits. Now what's happening is the more junk you're eating, the heavier your period flow will be. If you're eating garbage foods, if you're eating things that are hybrid, and this includes broccoli and spinach, which I love, you eat those while you're on your period, you're going to bleed like you're dying. Hybrid foods and sugars, of course, are going to cause you to bleed heavier. All right. So now, this is why, first of all, you having the periods, because you're eating a high amount of sugar. And if you're eating anything high fructose, that is a poison. They tell you, oh, it's just like sugar, it's just a little bit sweeter, and it's poison. Sugar is a drug, that high fructose is a poison. All right. Now, the other thing, that's the sugar. Sugar is number one that causes sugar and garbage foods that causes you to have periods. Number two, and y'all gonna be mad at me for this. Y'all gonna be mad at me for this. But I love you. Sex. Sex. So what happens is when you're having sex, once again, that LHS, your pituitary gland, is being stimulated. All right. And then once that pituitary gland is stimulated, then there's this LHS that once again goes into your bloodstream, and your ovaries start fighting for the LHS, and then one of them got to leave, and now you got a period. Now, I need you to understand that I don't talk about this that often either, but I know the spirits are telling me I need to start revealing this information. So, no better time than the present. Listen up. Um, this whole thing about sex, it's what's called a it's called a alien technology. All right, that's the best way I can describe it for you. It's an alien technology. This whole giving birth, the way women give birth, it's an alien technology. You have the ability to give birth the way the original ancestors gave birth, and that has to do with your mind. Now, I'm saying that to say this: somebody is continuously trying to get us to have sex. You can see this even when you're looking at cartoons for children. There's this push for them to have sex. And of course, when you're talking about sugar, that's all. I mean, all the cereals, they are loaded with sugar. All the candy bars, the drinks, and everything loaded with sugar. Somebody needs that pituitary gland to be in overdrive to keep the females running eggs out, and also the subliminal messages when we're talking about sex. Subliminal, even in the cartoons where you got Disney characters where the nose is purposely created from a penis to look like that, to encourage, girls or whatever, to encourage you that to put it subliminally in your mind that sex, sex, sex. I was looking at an image of dogs, little puppies, cute little furry puppies. And somebody had to point this out to me. They was like, look at this image right here. Then they said to me, now squint your eyes. And I squinched my eyes, and I could see the word sex in there. Sex something, or over sex, something about sex. It's subliminally in a lot of the campaigns for beverages, or, that you would never think. It's like, why is somebody trying to program us to want to have sex? Well, because uh, again, if you keep producing in that way, then they keep having more slaves. All right. I'm just telling you so that you can look it up for yourself and look into it for yourself. Uh, if I have upset you about how to stop your period, you can stop it, but you have to be very disciplined in order to do it. You have to be very disciplined in order to do it. And again, sugar and sex are the two main things that cause you to have a period. When you cut them out, well, you're going to see no periods. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Drucker, yes. Jewel Pookrum, she's very, very powerful. Very powerful. And she was one of the first people who started me on learning and understanding who we are on a molecular level. So just as I get out of here, because nobody want to talk to me today. Nobody want to talk to me today. Hold on. Fine. Fine then. All right. So, but as I prepare to get out of here, if y'all have any questions before I leave, Rosa asked a question. Let me see. What was the question, Rosa? Send it again. Ask the question again. I don't see the question, Rosa. Asher said, I'm trying. What are you trying to do, Asher? And thank you for writing that book in here, The Secret Covenant. Look that book up because or that document rather. Look up the Secret Covenant because that's really telling you what's going on. What dad won't sign. When dad won't sign. What about when dad won't sign? Let me get a complete question on that, Rosa, and I'll be glad to answer it. Um, Yeah, but that book of Jasher is very important. All right. Queen Pisces says, "Oh my God, Diva, you are so right. In commercials and TV shows, they use waterfalls and fireworks as a sexual suggestion." Okay. I don't even know what waterfalls and fireworks had to do, but I'm sure it's got something to do with something sexual. But as far as, there's this agenda to get you to have sex. And as women, one of my big things to women is we got to start learning who we are. And yeah, keep your legs closed. Keep your legs closed because we want to blame men blame everything on men with respect to how they are. Listen, now I'm going to go into some molecular because I had time today. I'm going to get out of here in a few minutes, but let me go into molecular structure and I'm going to get out of here. All right. You got to understand, women, the 25% of you that might be watching, uh who the male is, and learn to respect that. Okay, we've been told to put him in a position in society and to expect him to do things that he really was never meant to do. He really was never meant to do. And then furthermore, with women, my issue is you're not paying attention to who he said he was. What did Maya Angelou say? When someone tells you who they are, you must believe them. When someone tells you who they are, you must believe them. So women are constantly angry with men because, oh, he don't do what he say he gonna do, and he be cheating and he be doing this and he can't stay truthful. Well, how many times you got to go through that before you recognize who he is? He's telling you who he is. Well, then why you keep expecting him to do things that he hasn't been doing from the beginning of his existence? Or I expect him to be honest and not sleep with other women and that. But that's what he was created to do, was to spread seed. That's what he does. And you want to be upset with him because it's hard for him. It's hard for him to show discipline and not sleep with somebody else. Well, that's part of the character. That's part of the nature of the being. You can't go nowhere for in any other society on this planet and find a male that only sleeps with one feminine being. You can't. Look at go to fish, go to dogs, go to cats. But we ain't animals. That's not what it says. It say we in the animal kingdom. That's what it says. And you're not respecting that Y chromosome. You're not respecting it. That Y chromosome is got a nature across species. Across species. It's the same thing. And you're not paying attention. You're just trying to get him to do what you want him to do and not respecting who he is. I go back to the hierarchy of law when I talk about natural law and how but I'm saying it like it is. When women stop being upset with you for being who you are and respecting who you are, well, she's not gonna be upset with you anymore. All right. Y chromosome. He's here to spread his seed. It doesn't matter what species you go into, that the character with that Y chromosome, they're gonna all have the same characteristic trait. Their job is to do and say whatever they need to do to carry out their mission here in this planet, and that is to spread seed. So if you telling him, I ain't gonna have sex with you unless you commit to me, and you say, He gonna say, yeah, baby, yeah, whatever you need, I commit that, yeah, it's just you and me for the rest of our lives. And you believe it. Well, he did what he's supposed to do. This is why when the listen, what y'all don't know is that it wasn't originally an abundance of males. It was one male to many females. It was never supposed to be no one-to-one female to male. That wasn't how it was supposed to be. Originally, it was one male to many females. That's how it was. But I don't even want to go into the history about what the woman did and all that. But I need you to understand something. He was her servant first in many ways, and that includes sexually. When you look up the term Pharaoh, Pharaoh means the woman's house. It was her house. But as history evolved and the man started taking over the woman, because remember, she owned everything. As history evolved and he started taking her over, well, then Pharaoh became something different than what it meant originally. Originally, Pharaoh meant the woman's house, where he was in her house serving all the women. It wasn't that he owned the concubine. She owned him. The concubine owned him, and he serviced them. Nobody telling you that. What they were talking about, Pharaoh mean for a man king. No, it meant that he was he was serving them. That's what it originally meant. So understand, it wasn't a situation where he was supposed to be one to her from the beginning. He's put here to spread seed. That concubine was owning him. And then as everything flipped, and as everything is flipping right now, y'all understand what goes around, what comes around. There is a flip. And as things continue to flip, the truth will be revealed. But he was originally owned by the concubine. And then when it flipped, he started owning them. All right. That's what Pharaoh means, the woman's house. So he's here to spread his seed. At what point do you start to recognize who he is? This is why originally it wasn't a situation where, when you get with the guy, you just go sexing him after 2 weeks. They would tell you to wait 6 months. Wait 6 months. Why? Because you don't know who this being is. He could be rabid. And then some of y'all women be talking, oh, he is demonic and he is this and that and that. Well, if you had kept your legs closed for at least a month, you would have known that. You would have known he was rabid. Rabid. You would have known he was demonic. But you didn't take time to do that. You let him give you a good spiel. Girl, no, I'm a good man and I love women and he said what he needed to say. But if you had given it time, if you stay with a guy and the guy stays with you and y'all having sex each other after 6 months and you still like him, well then okay. Maybe he's good to go. But if you sleeping with him inside of 2 weeks and then you mad because you got a baby and you a baby's mama, now the problem is not him, the problem is you. Males have already told us who they are. Well, when you gonna start listening? See, I'm just telling the real truth right now. I'm upsetting somebody. uh Queen Pisces says, I enjoyed this live stream. This was one for the books. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Queen Pisces. I appreciate the love. And Druck over here, thank you for the love. Right, Royal. Royal says, from matriarch to patriarch. We're not told about what the matriarch was. We hear about patriarchy, but why are you not recognizing where this term comes from? If there was never a matriarchy, we wouldn't even need the word patriarchy. Well, the matriarchs owned everything. The women owned all of the wealth. The Bible, the Bible, as I told you, was written by women. Oracles and Sibyls, look them up. But all of the knowledge was the women's. All of any kind of wealth, the land, that was the woman's. Now, y'all can look up, well, you're gonna have a hard time finding it. But you got the term Masons. Masons, you have your Masons now, where these are men run organizations. But let's break that word down. Mason, ma as in mother, and son as an offspring of the mother. Mason, the mother was teaching her son, the offspring, this esoteric knowledge about what this dimension is all about. That's what the Masons are all about. Now, originally they revered the woman. They revered her. She was held in, and now they say, "Oh yeah, we revere the woman." But when you start talking about Freemasons, well, according to my research, these are the Masons that are trying to be away from the mother. All right. So y'all gotta understand, when we talk about the Masons, they go into these universal laws and these universal principles that everybody has seemed to have forgotten. The universal principles. Well, they call them the seven hermetic principles, and those are the first things they learn when they have their secret society meetings. Oh, you ready to get those seven hermetic principles, because that is the basis of this dimension. Bradford, yes, the women were here first. So I'm gonna go into molecular structure, and then I'm gonna, if y'all have some other questions, I answer them. All right, molecular structure. All right. So this whole, when you talk about the Bible, and I talk about how it can't be the perfect word of God, um, in this Bible, it's saying again, as I told you, there's some lies in the Bible. Then that's why you got to read it to know where the truth is. You got to read the from the woman. 1 second. All right. So when we're looking at the Y chromosome, all right, and I'm sorry, is it's in and out for my YouTube people, but we're gonna upload the full version. All right, so you'll be able to get that. So just thank you for staying tuned. And if I have to repeat something, just let me know. All right, so when we're looking at the Y chromosome, let's understand that the Y is the derivative of the X, meaning the X is the original. The X chromosome, that's the original chromosome, and the Y is derived from the X. And so you got to understand, every male, all of y'all were originally female, all of you. All right. And what happened is that Y chromosome was, and forgive me, because I love my brother and I don't like to say things. If I got to put this information out, I want to say it in a way that you know that I'm only speaking what the facts are. This is not a disrespect to you in any way, because I love who you are. Now, that Y chromosome is a degraded X chromosome. The Y chromosome is a degraded X. So let's understand what this Y chromosome is. It is an unnatural, parasitic, recessive, degraded X. Now, I'm just going to call it reformed for now, but we need to understand where it comes from and why it appears. All right. Um, in when As I told you about this unnatural, or what do I call it? Alien technology of pregnancy. It's an alien technology. Uh, Originally, all of us had the ability to procreate on our own, but the beings that created these vessels purposely downgraded them, uh, for the purpose of keeping you enslaved. All right, certain things were taken away from you in your DNA. Certain things were not, that they didn't want you to have, because they didn't want you to be more intelligent than them. They didn't want you to have a longevity of life than they do. They didn't want your vessel to be able to go on for hundreds of years like they used to. All right, so they were purposely degraded. Now, with that being said, Uh, when we're talking about an X and a Y chromosome, that Y chromosome is something that is created from tampering with the X chromosome. So when you go into science, they're going to tell you that there's no way that this Y chromosome just pops up out of nature. Nature doesn't create that Y chromosome. Somebody specifically went in and tampered with the X gene purposely to remove from it certain assets. Now, what is the difference between an X and a Y chromosome? All right. When you're talking about an X chromosome, you're talking about 1,400 genes. This is where, women, your X-Men powers are. I'm going to say this again. When you're talking about an X chromosome, you're talking about 1,400 genes, which is where your X-Men powers come from. Why do they call it X-Men as opposed to Y-Men? Because X is where your supernatural powers are. Where with women, you got two X chromosomes with 1,400 genes. One of them is dormant. One of them is dormant. You can't tap into it. Some women tend to tap into theirs. We're going to talk about them in a few seconds. But males, your Y chromosome, well, that has 1,300 genes missing. Let me say this again. That Y chromosome has 1,300 genes missing. All right. You only got 100 chromosomes in that Y chromosome. Whereas you have access to all 100 of your chromosomes. She doesn't have access to her other X chromosome. All right. So you got a power turned on in you that she can tap into. Now, that X chromosome is what we call a contract. It was a contract that was ripped up for whatever reason. Your spiritual essence, when you came into that vessel, the mother nature, and I call that's the mitochondria. I call her mother nature. Mother nature. The mitochondria, she's mother nature. She ripped that X chromosome up. She took out 1,300 of the genes from that X chromosome, which is why you got the Y. You got access to that Y, but you can't get those other 1,300. They gone. But she can. When she wakes up, she will have the ability to procreate on her own again. She'll have the ability to speak without moving her mouth. She'll be have the telekinesis ability. She can levitate and do all the things in this X-Men movie that they make y'all think is entertainment, when it's really them telling a true story about who the woman is. The X, which always represents the woe or the femme. Yeah. So that's what the X chromosome is. And so, again, when we say the woman was here first, well, yeah, you can see that on a molecular level because the male was originally a female. You can see that on a molecular level. And when we know science, science shows that there is no way to get an X from a Y chromosome, but you can get a Y from an X because that's the only place it can come from is the X, is the feminine. So the other thing about this, brothers, is that everything about you except for that one Y chromosome is feminine. Everything about you is the fem. Even your sperm, as I have to tell y'all, brothers, you don't have a male sperm. They tell, oh, well, the male sperm is the swimmer to the top, and it be the first one, and the female sperm be at the. There ain't no such thing as that. All of those eggs in your scrotum, which are your ovaries, you have ovaries. They are feminine. They're feminine. And if you don't have female sperm, any kind of male sperm that you think you got, it's gonna be fertile. It's not gonna be able to penetrate. Cause I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. You got two X chromosomes in here. And chromosomes in here, excuse me, this is an egg. And this sperm, when it penetrates, it better have X chromosomes. Otherwise, when it gets in here, the mitochondria is going to terminate this whole thing. That's how she works, because she's going to say, wait a minute, this one over here's got 1,400 genes. This one better have 1,400 genes, or it's not the same being, and I'm going to terminate this. So the only thing you better be shooting is a female sperm. Otherwise, once it gets in here, she's going to terminate this whole thing. All right. I hope I explained that. Anybody have any questions before I get out of here? That's where we get our Phantom says that's where we get our testosterone from. Where is where you get your testosterone from? So basically, I was just explaining to you when we're talking about whether the woman was here first. We see that on all kind of levels that she is first, even when we're talking about the male. Also, look up the term. Look, I'm looking at this connection over here, but also look up the term polar bodies, POLARBODIES. 2 words, polar bodies. Look those up, and that's going to help you to understand that polar body, that's a sperm. It's got just as many chromosomes in it as the sperm does. But what's the difference? Well, it's fast asleep. It's over there snoozing. The woman learns how to wake that up. She can procreate on her own. Not to say that men don't have a purpose. You do. You do. I'm just letting you know that there's a lot of things that we haven't been told about who we are. And when you're talking about sex and why somebody's continuously trying to force us or put it in our mind to have sex and be promiscuous and all of this, well, somebody's not telling you the truth about what's going on. At some point, women need to wake up and respect the male for who he is, understand what his nature is with him, and you angry. And I want to say this before I get up out of here to my sisters, because we tend to once again want to blame the male for everything and call him a low down, dirty, cheating, dirty, rotten, whatever. But let's understand, everything you're calling him, you are. He is your reflection. He is your reflection. He can't show up in your dimension unless he is reflecting you. So if you got this dude who's low down and rotten and dirty and all these other things that you're calling him, then you got to understand that you have called him, you have brought him into your dimension. He can't be low down and dirty without you being low down and dirty. This is what I mean when I say, if you living in hell, meaning the people around you are hellish, and the job and the whatever else, the complex and where you live and all of this is hell, the problem is not them, the problem is you. So once again, this I have to say this to my sisters, and I know it sounds mean, but sit down and keep your legs closed. All this stuff about, oh, we like sex, diva. Well, get some discipline about yourself. And I know I'm being hard. But the issues in this society, they start with the women. All right, I'm gonna go back to this because this brother said, I heard that women were here first. Bradford, thank you. Yes, women were here first. Now we can't be all excited. Oh, we was first, and yeah, then you the one who are responsible for this mess. You, woman, you. So we can't just be all upset with him because he is our child. Let's call it what it is. He is our child. Where did we go wrong? Well, we got these children up in here bringing all this hell into our house. We're not in order. But as soon as the woman gets in order, he doesn't have a choice but to come into order. So before you get ready to blame him and call him all kind of names, check yourself. Check yourself. Look at yourself. Then once we get in order, he's gonna come into order. He's not gonna have a choice. It's not gonna be that, oh, well, he leaving all these babies behind. What then that tell you the women not in their right mind? She's not in her right mind. But when she keeps her legs closed and she's recognizing, oh, this guy, he's demonic, or this guy's just saying what he needs to say in order to reproduce or what have you, he can't do it unless you give him permission. Yeah, when a woman gets in her right mind, then this whole mess will clean up. Um, Drug Cook said I'm an alchemist. You're a truly amazing alchemist, Diva. That alchemy, I'm working it. Thank you for being sane. Thank you, Phantom. Listen, I'm just saying this. We tired of being insane. All right. Keep going and doing the same thing over and over and over. Come on now. This brother has told us who they are, and it's not all brothers that do this. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you're falling for that one, or those who are constantly saying out of their mouth what they need to say in order to reproduce, or to, they ain't even trying to reproduce, they just want to spread seed. They're just not even being responsible. They're not being responsible. But then I can't say that about him not being responsible, and then you allowing him to spread seed in you. You weren't being responsible either, were you, ma'am? Were you? When we start, you're focused like a hog, you are honorable. I listen, we all want to be honorable. I told you, thank you for that, Drucker, because you know when you are checking yourself, and this is me, when I talk to you, I'm talking to me as well. When we're checking ourselves and we're focused on that, it's gonna be difficult to be angry at anybody else or be focusing on anybody else issues because we got to clean ourselves up. We got a lot of work. And so one of the things for me, I told y'all those 6 characteristic traits that I deal with and I speak on and I manifest those into my dimension, all right? Kindness, compassion, and love, honor, integrity, and respect. Kindness, compassion, and love, honor, integrity, and respect. When I speak those things, and that's all I speak, I'm not speaking nothing else, then those are the people who I bring into my dimension. All right. If that's what you're looking for, make sure you speak that and only that. Don't find yourself constantly talking down about somebody else or saying disrespectful things. Go to heaven. I want to talk about it. Anybody, Mr. J, thank you for joining. User says we must right now. We must right now. Okay. When the next meeting? Thank you, Phantom. I will be back on Wednesday. Today is Sunday. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. Thank y'all for joining me. Thank you all for as I was going through all of the issues, getting everything set up. Thank y'all for being patient and staying tuned. So Wednesday we're going to be back. We must come together right now. User, thank you. Yes. So we must come together right now. And the first thing though, right now that we must do is check ourselves, because you got to understand this, and I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to say this and I'm going to get out of here. Your dimension, once again, as I've been talking about, is reflecting who you are. All right. Everything in your dimension is reflecting who you are. So as you clean you up, your dimension cleans up. And I mean that the people who you're going to encounter, the things that are going on in this world, when you're talking about the government and what they're doing and all of this other stuff, it will clean up. It's cleaning up now. Those of us who are, cleaning ourselves up, we recognize that the monetary policy is changing. We recognize that the U.S. corporation is losing their handle where they're trying to control everything. They're losing that control. We get it. So as we clean ourselves up, your dimension is going to get cleaned up. So the first thing is to check yourself. And I get it. We want to come together and let's join. Okay, we're going to do that. But make sure you're drawing the right people to you. And then your dimension is you're going to start living the heaven right here on this planet. You're going to live your heaven right here, right now, when you start cleaning up you. All right. I want y'all to know I love you. Drugpa and all my people on YouTube and Queen Pisces and User and all my people. I hope I answered all the questions. Make sure I do that because I've been accused of not answering questions. want to make sure I answer all the questions. I thank you all for even filling in Royal and Rosa. And User and Citrus, Royal. Let me see who else. Now, Rosa asked a question. She said, when the baby daddy don't sign. And I'm not sure, it wasn't a full question, so I'm going to just answer it the best way I can. But if the baby daddy, I'm assuming you're saying, doesn't sign the birth certificate, you got to understand the birth certificate is ownership of that vessel. So if he doesn't want to put his name on birth certificate, well, then he doesn't want to accept ownership. Well, then good. Then that means he shouldn't be trying to take the baby from you. I mean, I didn't get the full question, so I'm just answering that part. And thank you all for listening. Don't forget the information that I shared, the book of Jasher, the book of Enoch, all the left out books, and the information I shared about the 508 versus the 501 organization. Thank you all for the love. Thank you for the roses, Nas and Rob and Emmett. All right, so I'm out of here. I want y'all to know I really do love you, appreciate you. I should be back on Wednesday with another session right before class. It won't be as long because I ain't gonna have time that day. But we're gonna take some time. University for me. Give me a hug. UNA. Come on. Paradise. All right. Come on. See you on Wednesday. All your dreams. Land is home on your own every day.